There you go.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming today. We're going to open up the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everyone should have their packets in front of them. Does anyone need more time to review the minutes that we got out? You can certainly take some more time to look at those if you'd like to. I already did. I didn't have any changes. But I want to make sure everybody's had a chance to read them over. And Hunter, since you weren't at the last meeting, you don't have to vote on these since
Yeah.
officially. So I want to welcome Hunter Stogsdill to our commission. He was appointed by the county council and sworn in last week. So he's hit the ground running. But we're glad to have him on board to fill that position. Did anyone have any comments or questions on the minutes or need more time to look at those?
I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The minutes are approved. Thank you very much, Sheila. Appreciate your help with those. At this time, we don't have any new claims to approve, so we can move on to brief financial reporting. You've received a copy of our bank statements for the commission from July. I prepared a little summary of where we were on the month-end balances. We have the three accounts. The account ended 2371, had a balance of 299, 336.44. The account ended 2398, had $29.61. And the account ended 2380, had a balance of 801, 538.31. Those will add up to $1,904.36. And the biggest change you'll see with that is our bond payment will go out during August of $85,500 that we already approved at previous meeting. So that'll bring it down to $1,015,000 and change. So the only other activity we've had is deposit of the $201,440 property tax funds we talked about a few meetings ago, and interest. And our year-to-date interest on those accounts is $21,665.48. So, but you can look through those. If you have any questions on anything you see in the statements, let me know. Toward the end of the year, we'll have an accounting that's more of a summary, but haven't had a lot of activity to talk about.
Not this year.
But always want to be public about where we are with our funds. Any questions on the financial reporting? If not, if we could have a motion to approve the financial reporting as presented.
I'll make that motion. I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion needed? All in favor of the reporting as presented, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We can move on from that. That has been approved. Under old business, we've been talking about the possibility of expanding sewer over to McCormick's Creek Elementary. What I'd like to do is table that for discussion later and move on to new business on these declaratory resolutions that we're looking at. And I also want to allow a little time for some public comments or questions too. Appreciate your time to come here today. So with that, I'm going to hand over the meeting to our attorneys to talk about these declaratory resolutions that are in front of us.
Thank you kindly. My name is Dustin Meeks. I'm with Barnes & Thornburg in Indianapolis and assisting the Redevelopment Commission in this process. As many of you will remember, at our last meeting, at the Redevelopment Commission's last meeting, we discussed two parallel running processes that the RDC is undertaking, one to approve the acquisition of certain real property and one to dispose of certain real property. So what is before the Redevelopment Commission today is the opening resolutions to begin both of those processes, one for acquisition and one for disposition. So the first resolution that we have for the Redevelopment Commission today, 2024-003, is what's called a declaratory resolution. And the acquisition process begins with an amendment to the economic development plan for the county's economic development area. And that plan has a section that is called the acquisition list. And the statute, which allows the Redevelopment Commission to acquire property, identifies that the first step is for the Redevelopment Commission to amend its economic development plan to identify the property on the acquisition list. And so this declaratory resolution, what it does is it declares that the Redevelopment Commission intends to amend its economic development plan to add the jail site property in Spencer to the acquisition list. Once this resolution is approved, if you approve it today, the Area Plan Commission will have an opportunity to consider the proposed amendment to the economic development plan to determine whether the amendment to the plan conforms to the comprehensive plan for the county, and they'll do that at their meeting this evening. And then the Board of County Commissioners will consider a resolution approving the proposed amendment to the economic development plan, adding this site to the acquisition list. At that point, there is a public notice for the newspaper that will precede a public hearing by the Redevelopment Commission on that proposed amendment to the that proposed amendment to the economic development plan to add this site to the acquisition list. So what this resolution does is it kicks off a process of approval by the Plan Commission and the Board of Commissioners, which will precede a public hearing on adding this particular parcel to the list of parcels that the Redevelopment Commission is authorized to acquire. The second resolution, which is related to the disposition process, approves a term sheet for the disposition of the piece of county-owned property, which the Redevelopment Commission received from the Board of Commissioners in a transfer that was approved at the last meeting of the RDC and the Commissioners meeting that followed that. So this resolution approves an attached term sheet for the sale of that property. It also authorizes the publication of required public notices. So this term sheet being approved, there will be two notices, one in back-to-back weeks, which will be published offering the property for sale to the public. And in that notice, it will identify the meeting of the Redevelopment Commission, the date of which is forthcoming, but will be included in the notices, at which the Redevelopment Commission will receive any bids for the property. At the meeting where bids are received, the Redevelopment Commission has three options. One, there may be no bids that are offered on the property. Secondly, the Redevelopment Commission can open and reject any bids received. And lastly, the Redevelopment Commission could accept a bid that was received. In the event that there are no bids or that all of the bids offered are unacceptable to the Redevelopment Commission, the Redevelopment Commission then triggers a 30-day period, and during that 30-day period, the property cannot be offered for less than the minimum offering price that was identified in the term sheet. But after 30 days, the Redevelopment Commission is able to dispose of the property for whatever price the Redevelopment Commission would determine it to be appropriate. So that's both of the processes kind of in full. And this second resolution kicks off that process. So both of these resolutions sort of similar in character, two different processes. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
So that second resolution is offering for sale the 96.39 acres of woodland with the landfill, correct?
That's correct, yeah, the county-owned property or a portion thereof.
For the first resolution is adding proposed site where the jail might go as something that could be put in.
Correct, right. Adding it to the list makes it acquirable, and beginning this disposition process allows us to get to the point where the county's current piece of property, can be offered for sale.
And my understanding is, even though we might approve these today, we could still put the brakes on this process at any time because we're still asking questions that we haven't had answered on that property.
Absolutely. So the sort of most direct result of both of these resolutions is that in the case of the declaratory resolution regarding the acquisition, a couple of other public bodies will have an opportunity to consider the proposal, and there will be a public notice for a public hearing. And then the most direct result of the disposition resolution is there will be a public notice offering the property, and then a later meeting, presumably the same meeting where we hold the public hearing, where we would receive any bids on the property. But at that future meeting, the redevelopment commission could choose, you can reject all of the bids and then never sell the property. Totally an option. And you could refuse to pass the confirmatory resolution, which is the end piece, the end approval for the acquisition, and stop the process right there. And even if you approved the confirmatory, approved the acquisition, you wouldn't just because it's on the list to be acquired doesn't mean you have to acquire it. And just because you receive bids doesn't mean you have to dispose of it.
So what this does today is this just enables this to go before the other governmental bodies that are required for this process, so that if we get the answers, we're satisfied with the answers, then everything's clear to move ahead, so that's not holding us up. But we're still in the driver's seat to stop this at any time if we don't like the answers.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure we understood that. Does anyone else have any questions on these resolutions? Is it appropriate to have a motion to approve both of these at once, or do we approve one at a time?
We should approve them one at a time. But
Why don't you go ahead and read through those for us, will you?
do you want me, Dana, to do it? You want me to do it?
Doesn't matter. That way the audience can hear what I say.
The first is resolution number 2024-003. This is a resolution of the Owen County, Indiana Redevelopment Commission approving an amendment to the declaratory resolution and redevelopment plan for the State Road 43 corridor economic development area and related matters. Whereas the Owen County, Indiana Redevelopment Commission, the governing body of the Owen County, Indiana Department of Redevelopment and the Owen County Redevelopment District exists and operates under the provisions of Indiana Code 36-7-14 as amended from time to time, the Act. Whereas the Commission has heretofore adopted a declaratory resolution as subsequently confirmed and amended from time to time, the declaratory resolution, designating an area known as the State Road 43 Corridor Economic Development Area, the area, as an economic development area pursuant to the Act, and approving an economic development plan for the area, the original plan. Whereas, pursuant to sections 15 to 17.5 of the Act, the Commission desires to amend the declaratory resolution and the original plan further to provide new properties within the area to be added to the Commission's acquisition list as set forth in Exhibit A, heretofore the 2024 acquisition list. Whereas the commission now desires to approve the amendment of the original plan as set forth in Exhibit B attached hereto to include the 2024 acquisition list therein, the 2024 amendments. Whereas the proposed 2024 amendments and supporting data were reviewed and considered at this meeting. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Owen County, Indiana Redevelopment Commission as follows. 1. The 2024 amendments are reasonable and appropriate when consideration in relation to the declaratory resolution and the original plan and purposes of the Act. 2. The findings and determinations set forth in the declaratory resolution and the original plan are hereby reaffirmed. 3. The Commission finds that no residents of the area will be displaced by any project resulting from the 2024 amendments, and therefore finds that it does not need to give consideration to transitional and permanent provision for adequate housing for the residents. Number 4, the Commission proposes to acquire land or interest in land as part of the original plan as amended herein, and the 2024 acquisition list is hereby approved. 5, the 2024 amendments are hereby in all respects approved. Number 6, any member of the Commission is hereby authorized to take such actions as are necessary to implement the purposes of this resolution, and any such action taken prior to the date hereof is hereby ratified and approved. 7, this resolution, together with any supporting data, shall be submitted to the Owen County Plan Commission, and the Board of Commissioners of the County of Owen, Indiana, the Board of Commissioners, as provided in the Act, and if approved by the Plan Commission and the Board of Commissioners, shall be submitted to a public hearing and remonstrance as provided by the Act, after public notice as required by the Act. 8, this resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption by the Commission. Passed and resolved at a meeting of the Owen County, Indiana Redevelopment Commission held on the 20th day of August, 2024. There's space for all 5 commissioners to sign. Exhibit A is the 2024 acquisition list, and it is adding all or any of a parcel number 60-10-19-100-080.001-027 in the northwest quarter of the northeast quarter of section 19 township, 10 north, range 3 west, 31.83 acres, also known as tract B in Owen County, Indiana. And again, it's of that 31 acres, it's 9.57 acres will be the amount once that's surveyed. Exhibit B is the 2024 plan supplement, and which is saying that we're adding that parcels, and that is your resolution.
So again, Exhibit A is talking about that property we're considering there near the quarry.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions on that resolution? Are we comfortable with taking a vote on that resolution at this time? I would ask for did you have something, Bob?
46, this is the
Okay. If we're going to have a motion to approve that resolution, 2024-003.
I'll make that motion.
Resolution number 2024-003.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We'll pass a copy for signature on that. Do you need 2 copies signed or just one?
Just the one.
So who would like to read Resolution 2024-004? Have you had a nice drink of water?
Yeah, I'll take a drink now. All right. This next resolution is number 2024-004. It is a resolution of the Owen County, Indiana Redevelopment Commission regarding disposition of property. Whereas the Owen County, Indiana Redevelopment Commission, the Commission, as the governing body of the Owen County, Indiana Redevelopment Department, pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-14 as amended, the Act, has established the State Road 43 Corridor Economic Development Area as an economic development area pursuant to Section 41 of the Act. And whereas the Commission desires to dispose of certain property as described in Exhibit A hereto, the property pursuant to the terms of an offering sheet substantially in the form set forth in Exhibit B hereto. And whereas pursuant to Section 22 of the Act, the Commission is required to cause to be published in accordance with law a notice of disposition of the property. And whereas the Commission has obtained appraisals for the property in accordance with law. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Owen County, Indiana Redevelopment Commission as the governing body of the Owen County, Indiana Redevelopment Department as follows. Number 1, the Commission hereby authorizes and directs its president to cause to be published a notice of disposition of the property pursuant to Section 22 of the Act. Number 2, the appraisals for the property obtained by the Commission as acquired by Section 22 of the Act are hereby accepted and approved. Number 3, the offering sheet substantially in the form as set forth in Exhibit B hereto is hereby approved. Number 4, this resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption by the Commission. Passed and resolved at the meeting of the Owen County, Indiana Redevelopment Commission held on the 20th day of August 2024. Turn to Exhibit A. It is the description of the property. It gives the parcel number 60-17-10-500-080.000-016, and it is that portion which is south of Franklin Road in Section 10, Township 9 North, Range 3 West, and that is part of a 188.10 acre parcel. Again, it would be the portion of that parcel south of Franklin Road. The county-owned non-taxable deed record 35-5209, and the part of south of Franklin Road would contain approximately 96.39 acres, more or less. Exhibit B is the offering sheet, and it describes what, again, this is what we put in the paper, and it says they are offering the property, the Redevelopment Commission is offering the property described in Exhibit A, which is the same as the property we just said, the offered property for the sale to the successful bidder. The bidder or bidders shall prepare a bid for the purchase of all of the offered property, the following the terms and condition applied to the bids. The minimum offering price, each bid must propose a purchase price of not less than $337,500. Conditions of the bids, the Commission will publicly open all written offers, and the bid price will be read aloud, and the bidder's general plan will then be read on, we determine a day in September for that opening of the bids. And the Commission will then review all proposals and make an award or reject all offers. Bid proposals must meet the following conditions. A, the successful bidder must be prepared to close on the purchase of the offered property within 30 days after award by the Commission. And B, the successful bidder must propose the development of the offered property for a facility acceptable to the Commission. And C, no proposal will be eligible for consideration that does not meet the minimum offering price. Conditions of closing. The Commission's obligation to convey the offered property to the successful bidder is subject to the following conditions. A, payment of the full purchase price of the offered property by the successful bidder at closing. B, All agreements relating to the sale and use of property will be subject to review by attorneys for the commission and the county to assure compliance with all applicable laws and agreements to which the commission and county are subject. And again, Appendix B is the legal description that I gave before for the 96.39 acres. And that is your resolution.
Now, the only questions I have so far, page 1 refers to the commission accepting the appraisals. So even though we have some questions on those appraisals, we can still have that verbiage in here.
Go ahead.
Yours, yes, that doesn't,
I know those questions are just some clarification things, but I just want to make sure we're not out of step with that.
no. And the, having the appraisals in hand is a prerequisite step for offering the property. So, at your last meeting, you approved obtaining the appraisals, ratified obtaining the appraisals, and here you're approving that you have in fact received them.
Okay. I just want to be clear on that.
The offering price, minimum price, is the average of the two appraisals of that property.
That's the 337,500
Yes.
for the 96.39 acres at hand.
That's correct.
Okay. That's all I had. Any other comments or questions on the resolution? If we don't have a need for more discussion, are we ready to have a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make that motion to approve resolution number 2024-004.
I'll second that motion.
If there's no other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. Sign a copy. But as I said earlier, we've clarified that this just moves the process forward with the other governing bodies. We're still in the driver's seat on this. We still have questions we need to answer on these properties. We're just making it so that if we're satisfied with the answers, there's not something else holding up the process. So I would like to open up the floor for some questions from the public, since we have some people here. We may not be able to answer everything, but I will tell you that we do have some questions we're still trying to answer that we want to get satisfied on, that we don't have answers on today. But we'll answer what we can. Yes?
Go first, you over with. I got a few questions. Is the environmental study been done yet?
It's in process.
Is that environmental study being done by the redevelopment or the commissioners?
It's under redevelopment, our authority.
Okay, I didn't. So, but that's in the process of being done.
Yes.
Does Ralph Rogers still own quarry rights to the property?
Not to this 30 acres.
Okay, and that was because I presented this question to the property, to the owner.
You only have three about
Because I asked a question about the weigh scale and the trailer that's there and stuff like that. And I was told that Ralph Rogers has leasing rights still to this quarry. If they wanted to start quarrying or hauling stone, they could. Because he said that the scale house and the trailer right there was not part of what was going to be sold. But Ralph Rogers does have leasing rights to this property to open up. If they wanted to start quarrying tomorrow, they could. I don't know for sure.
It wouldn't have any effect on this property because it sits outside of that
Right.
area.
But they do have, but I guess that's, yeah, outside of the 9 point.
Yeah, it wouldn't
Right,
affect this
10
property
acres.
whatsoever.
But they do still have, according to the owner, they still have quarry rights to blast and haul stone and make stone on this other property over 30 acres, outside of the 9 acres.
I think it's been determined, and don't quote me on this, Sam, that there's a lot of homes that's been built back on Texas Pike since that quarry's been shut down, and the feasibility of that is pretty slim.
That was,
And we can confirm that through the building department.
when the, if this goes through, the property gets transferred, who owns the property? Redevelopment, will you zone the quarry site, or will it be the county commissioners? And the reason that I ask is for insurance purposes, because insurance on a secured facility, like a jail for the sheriff here, is a whole lot different ballgame than insurance on just a standard commercial facility.
My understanding is, and we'll let the attorneys answer that. I'll let you go ahead and answer.
Initially, the redevelopment commission will own the property, right? Because they'll acquire it. However, and you were at our last meeting, so you saw me do this little piece of statutory magic. Units of government are able to transfer property amongst each other without appraisals and for no exchange of consideration. So once the redevelopment commission acquires the property, they'll transfer it to the board of commissioners.
Okay,
Yeah.
So the answer is both.
okay, and I think, the last question, is the RDC going to get their own appraisal on the property?
We already have.
You don't think you guys will? I knew the commissioners had gotten appraisal, so it's, answer my question.
Commissioners never opened up, they were sealed and moved to this committee.
So has there been 3 appraisals on the property, or 4?
We were happy with 2. They were reasonably close. The methodology seemed very sound. I can tell you as a CPA, you only go to a 3rd one when you have an issue. Like if you've got, let's say someone was going to make a deal to part ways and sell property. One would get an appraisal, the other one would get one, and then you get a 3rd one to see where they all land. Here, because there's a lot of agreement within the appraisals, there's no, what's the term, adversarial. There's really no need to get a 3rd one. We could have asked for a 3rd one, we weren't satisfied, but we felt that the methodology by both were very sound. We have some questions to them that we haven't had answered, just to clarify a few things, but we didn't see the fruit in Alfred asking for another one.
And they're very close together, so it's not like one was off, so.
But the redevelopment did get their own appraisal.
We did.
That's all the questions I have.
Okay, good questions. Our goal is by the time we get to the public meeting, which will be the later part of September, it's going to be an evening meeting. We're looking at a bigger venue so people can come to start at 6. We're still clarifying the potential date. We might have an answer by the end of this meeting. If not, we'll figure it out. But we want that public availability for people to come, and our goal is to have all the answers to our questions that we have by then that we have on that property. Anybody else? Well, we appreciate you being here, your interest, but we will have that public meeting with a lot more information about where we're landed and how we got through this process.
Appreciate it.
With that, I'd like to circle back to the old business of discussing the potential for sewer expansion toward McCormick's Creek Elementary. What would be the barriers we'd have to deal with in the county if we decided we ended up with the funding? Let's say we partnered with the school, they were on board, we knew the cost, and we're willing to move ahead with something like that. What are the barriers we would face on that property as far as easements, things like that?
Gonna have to do a feasibility study first to figure out what our cost is to go across there to see if it's even feasible before we start looking into easements and those type of things. It's probably more so going to fall over to the attorney to answer those questions, because I think there's about 2, maybe 3 different property owners across that. So that will have to be dealt with. It's something I think that we need to do. We've talked about it for a few years, 4 or 5 years. But definitely we want to do a feasibility study first and then move forward from there. That's my opinion.
Derek, do you feel like there's still interest from the school in
Yeah.
us going that direction? So that would be another conversation. Can't answer that today. Knowing you have a partner in a project like this at such a short distance just raises that to the top of the benefit to McCormick Creek Elementary, that region, and what it could do for that whole corridor in the future. So today is just starting that discussion. What steps do we need to go through? So we would probably start with the feasibility study. Any other comments? What else should we be thinking about?
Well, along those same lines, you could either, chicken or the egg, you could either start with a feasibility study, or you could start with discussions with the property owners and try to get some idea of how on board they would be with it. I think it would be a benefit to their property to have a sewer line on it, so, but it would be good to have a discussion with them to make sure that they're amenable to it. That could be done at no cost as opposed to the cost of a feasibility study, so they could be either done at the same time or one before the other.
Okay. What concerns should we have about going across that property? Does anyone have any concerns? Always try to look at both sides of the equation.
Well, like Dana just said, it's going to be a huge benefit for those property owners if they want to develop or sell later on. I mean, you've got sewer running through there. I would assume that they may want to run a water line there at the same time when they're doing that. That would only make sense. Again, we can't say it enough. We've got people in here that collect our taxes. We need all the growth and development we can get. So that would definitely help us in that direction.
And to clarify what I'm talking about, I'm referring to where the sewer is already at the 4 Oaks. Is this the 4 Oaks, 7 Oaks, 4 Oaks property? 4 Oaks property, and taking it from there over to McCormick Creek. Since there's already sewer there, you would just expand where they are on down the line. Once you've established that, if those property owners are on board, that just opens that corridor for development toward the school as well in the future, and you think about the housing needs we have. Okay, well, I would,
Down to end, where is the end of the line, the 4 Oaks?
they've taken it into their development, so it'd be a matter of,
And it's on the south side,
uh-huh.
right? So all we have to do is go into it and take it straight across.
Head east, yeah.
Thanks for being here, we appreciate your help.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, that's something we've been wanting to get done.
So it sounds like we would try to get hold of the property owners first, see where they're at, before we even go toward the feasibility.
Do any of you know the property owners personally?
Polly, do you have any?
No, I know it's changed. I mean, if we're talking about the land that used to be Off Acres, from what I understand, he sold that, and then the person he sold it to, it's the, I mean, I'm, don't quote me on this, but I think they passed away and it's their kids. Or,
That's what I
Some kind of legal
Yeah.
battle.
I heard it was
now,
in
yeah.
a state
That's what
right
I
now.
understood too, yeah.
So,
So how would we go about that? Would we send out a certified letter to these folks through our building department or something to that effect? Showing them our interest or?
Yeah, like preferably there'd be
Planning
somebody that
commission.
knew them that we could just
Maybe make it a little more informal.
make it.
I
I don't
don't,
want to scare them.
I don't think they're local, so, yeah, that might be kind of hard to find something.
We know Chris is in
Well, if-
favor of it, so he's not gonna be a problem on that first phase. Chris Ball,
Right.
You might even know.
and he might, so that might be an avenue.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's best if you can have somebody they know with you, but if not, I can just reach out to them and start the conversation.
Okay,
If I did, it'd be good to have maybe one of you with me
okay.
and do that.
I'd be glad to be involved with that, or if anyone else would like to be involved, depending on the timing.
You've been here longer than any of us, you should be involved in that.
Yes. We'll put my name down, we'll just see where we go with that. We'll start with that inexpensive first step and see where we can go. And I think as we're thinking about this, I have heard there's gonna be a third round of ready funds, nothing official. And if this were to move forward in the right way, we might have an opportunity to take advantage of those ready funds in a project. When you think about the matching requirements and everything else, we'll take any help we can get. But I would think a project like that would score very high when you think about the benefit to our county.
Especially with the school
Yeah,
involved.
that's what
Well, that's all I have on that. Any other thoughts on your minds right now about that?
I'll get a list of those property owners across there for both of you. Get that for you the next day or something.
And I'll keep in close tabs with Marcy at Economic Development, what's going on with Ready 3, and I know Tina Peterson too, so keep in the loop there. Well, it'd be nice if we could get that done eventually. I think that'd be a benefit to the county if everything can go.
Yeah, if you get the owners on board right away, it would go pretty smoothly.
It's not only the school, it also includes the addition that's across.
Yeah, you guys just across the street, they'd probably like to get out of the sewer business, I would imagine.
From the school's perspective, I mean, if we look at that area and we see development, the potential of development in that area. Our perspective is, do we have to then expand the school? Do we have to expand our footprint on that property? And, you know, having access to the sewer line would help in that tremendously.
Absolutely. Well,
Comprehensive plan does show development out that direction, so it fits right in with the comprehensive plan.
yeah. And there's tools we can use. We have the tool of residential TIFs you can put in for new developments in that area. A lot of things we can do that could help keep that momentum going. This would be what I would call the first step in getting something done there, or the next step from where we left off. So, well, there's nothing really to vote on that. It's just discussion. I guess we'll move forward with what we can find out about the owners and maybe have something to report back later.
Sounds good.
Do we have any answers on the proposed date from
The 19th,
September?
September 19th, 6 p.m. at the high school auditorium. It is being held for us.
So that'll be, our next meeting will be a public meeting, 6 p.m. Thursday, September 19th at the high school auditorium. I can't thank the school enough. I think that'll be a perfect venue to allow a lot of people to come and get their questions answered. And our goal is to have our answers by then. So,
Is that the date that you would like to open the bids as well?
certainly. Any reason not to? Okay,
No, I mean, we have a lot in attendance, so they
we
wasn't.
sure will. I wanted it at a place where anybody could get there and lots of parking.
Should probably, since that's gonna go in the notice, do that with a motion for that date and time.
Okay. We have a motion for that notice to go out.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Get her done.
Thank you.
You're in.
I feel good about that. We really want to have that opportunity for the public to attend, get questions answered. We want to have the confidence of having answers by then for any of the concerns that we're looking at right now. I really feel good about having this on our laps because we're really trying to do what's right for the county here so that if this does move forward, we've answered those questions and paves the way for progress. So that's all I can think of for this meeting. Any other business we need to talk about? If not, if we could have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
All right.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. In the history, I've never had one.